As a process consultant, I've tried all kinds of software to map processes. A lot of people use Microsoft Visio. Now, Visio is a great program, but it's a bit hard to learn and it's also expensive. If you want something that's just as good, if not better, than Visio, but has the benefit of being free, I would recommend that you took a look at yEd. Not many people have heard of it, as it's poorly marketed, so I thought I'd give you a quick overview. Here it is. This is the main window. In common with most of these diagramming programs, there's an area called the main canvas. Obviously, this is where you create the diagrams. On the left here is a variety of different methods of navigating through the diagram. This might seem like overkill, but remember, this is a powerful graphical program that has many scientific and engineering applications. You can use it to create extremely complex diagrams, so I'm guessing that's when you need these kinds of methods to navigate through them. My process diagrams never really get that complex, so I'm just going to close these and get rid of them. On the right here are the various elements that you can put into the diagram. So this is where you will find activity boxes and the connectors you need for process diagramming. yEd arranges these in what it terms pallettes. There are standard pallettes that you can choose from, including BPM and other specialized symbols. Or you can create palettes of your own for the symbols that you use regularly. So here's my custom palette. I decided to keep it simple. I've got a swim lane box, my favorite connectors, and my favorite activity boxes. You create a diagram simply by dragging and dropping these elements from the palette onto the canvas, or you can copy and paste. Now, you have a lot of control over the look and formatting of the various elements on the diagram. yEd does this through what it calls properties. What the exact properties are depends on what the element is, so you get to do different things with arrows than with, say, shapes. I'm going to change the background color here, but it could be any of these properties. Now I hit OK, and we're done. All pretty straightforward. Again, in common with most graphical programs, it has zoom features, and you can center diagrams and all that good stuff. Now note that the zooming is infinite. That's because this is a vector drawing program, so you can get into really fine detail. I think the maximum zoom power in PowerPoint, for example, is about 400%, and you can see you can be a lot more precise here with yEd. On the menu, you have all the usual stuff for saving files, opening new files, printing and exporting. When you create a new file, it appears as a new tab up here. You can have a number of diagrams open at the same time, and you can flip between them. Up to this point, I've really only shown you things that are common to all these programs, but now it's time to get into some of the things that make yEd special. So the first thing that's worth noting is that yEd has a powerful auto layout feature. Actually, it's easier just to show you how this works. So here's a process diagram that I've got pretty much connected up, but it needs some polishing, as you can see. When I'm creating process maps like this, I find it really tedious to tidy it up and make it look presentable. And then, of course, when you have to make a minor change, you have to do it all over again. But in yEd, I can lay it out neatly with a couple of clicks. So here we go. Up here on the menu, there's a command for layout. So we're going to choose swim lane and then hierarchical. We could have chosen any one of these here. Each gives a different effect. In fact, you can have quite a lot of fun playing around with this. But let's stick to hierarchy because that works best for process diagrams like this. So now we have all these settings. You can ignore these. They just give you control over exactly how this is going to look. I'm going to accept all the defaults. In fact, I rarely change these. So now I'll hit OK, and bingo, yEd lays it out all for me. That's a big time saver. It also means that my process diagrams tend to have a common look and feel. Next up is importing. You can import process data from an Excel spreadsheet. yEd then creates a diagram for you. Now, you have to be careful here. First off, you can spend more time creating the spreadsheet than doing it manually. So I typically reserve this for very large process diagrams. As you've seen, yEd has a swim lane feature. Swim lanes can be vertical or horizontal. I tend to use them in vertical mode because I load process diagrams onto websites, and it's easier to scroll up and down than from side to side in a browser. Now, Visio also has a pretty good swim lane feature, but what I like about yEd's is that when you use the auto-arrange, it will keep activities in their original lane. The last thing I want to show you is that yEd supports links within individual elements. This means you can connect activity boxes to other documents or even other websites. Why does this matter? Well, it allows you to put your process diagram on a website or intranet and have a clickable link that takes you to sub-processes or to other documents like checklists or forms. You could even have it connecting to a tutorial telling you how to do the activity. So, for example, here is a web-based process documentation system. This is something I set up for my clients. So here on the menu are all the process maps. Let's just open this one. I can click on this activity box and it takes me to a sub-process. Let's go back to the original diagram. And I can see that there is more information here. So again, I just click the link and here's an associated document. This is a great way to keep all your documentation in one place and up to date. Okay, so that's yEd. On the plus side, it's free. You can't beat that. Visio is very expensive to buy just to do process mapping. Right now, the most basic version starts at about $300 a copy on the Microsoft site. I do know you can get it a bit cheaper if you shop around. SmartDraw and Lucid Charts, which are competitors, are even more expensive over the long term because they make you pay every month. So in a couple of years, that adds up to even more than Visio. yEd has been around a long time, and there are regular updates, so it's unlikely to disappear and leave you in the lurch. It also runs on Linux and Mac, not just Windows, and that can save you a lot of hassle if you happen not to be on Windows. But on the downside, the documentation isn't very good, at least when it comes to using it for process maps. Here's the documentation for swim lanes on the yWorks website. For a graphics program, there's remarkably little graphics here in the help pages. So yEd has a few little quirks. However, you can work around most of these by resetting the defaults. While it does take a bit of getting used to, it's worth taking a look. So, I have shown you the general features that make it such a good alternative to Microsoft Visio. If you'd like to learn how to actually use it in detail, sign up for the free tutorials on my website. There should be a sign-up box on this page. If not, head over to theprocessconsultant.com and find it there. I hope this was helpful, and if you'd like to leave comments or questions, please do so. Thanks very much. I'm Ian James, the Process Consultant.